Hi and welcome to another Checiegirl Creations DIY video. Now today I'm going to show you how I made these cards, and this is really good for someone who just got married or has an anniversary or something like that. And I've made a few because I'm preparing to go to the Greenwich market, and by the time this video is uploaded I would have gone. So I just thought I would video these so that you know how they were made. So I've made a few and I'll just show you what you'll need. So you'll need this stamp. It's by Paper Mania Urban Stamps. It's 5 by 5 inches, and that'll create the kind of doily effect on the card. I also use the biggest die out of these dies, made by M&C Boutique, and you can get these from the Works, I believe. I don't know if they're still in stock, but I got this for Christmas, and you can see that in a Christmas haul. So that creates this little frame here. You'll also need some cardstock, and I just have a few scrap cardstocks. You can see where I cut out some of the things for the card, and this is 200 GSM, and you can get this at Poundland in a pack of 30. I'm also using this stamp set. I'm using the glass, and this is just a special occasion stamp set. I got this in a card making and papercraft magazine a few years ago. I'll also be using a StazOn ink pad, jet black, embossing powder, clear embossing powder by Paper Mania, a premium embossing stamp pad by Dovecraft, this die that says Congrats by Clearly Besotted, and these two stamp pads, and you can get this in a pack of, I believe, 30 in Hobbycraft, and these are pigment ink pads. Oh, and I'll also be using a tweezer for when I'm embossing. So I'm using a 5 by 7 card, and you can get this from the Works in a pack of 50, and they come flat, and then you have to just bend it on the score line and score it with your bone folder. And I use this bone folder that is from Hobbycraft, and you can see that in a haul, and I'll link that in the top right hand corner in an iCard if you're interested. And I'll also be using my, sorry for the squeaking, my DIY misti stamping tool. And I learned how to make this in a video, and I will make my own video about how I made this, just because I changed a few things. So just in case you were thinking of changing it up, just to see what trials I went to make this. So what I'll do first is stamp the doily. So I'm just going to put it here in the middle so it gets a really good impression, and I'll use some masking tape to adhere it to the misti so that I can double stamp with no problem. And I tend to de-stickify my masking tape on my trousers so that no ripping happens on my card. Covered the stamp completely in the pink, and now I'm just going to use a cloth. I tend to use a cloth so that I can burnish it really nicely. And you'll see in a second when I put up the stamp that it leaves a kind of dark mark. And with the small ink pad, because there's a pigment ink pad, you can kind of see the pigment on the stamp, so that's easy to see where you've missed. Now you see that's not a clean image, and it leaves a kind of darkish mark because I used some stays on ink on the stamp pad before, or maybe it was just another black ink, and I tried to clean it off but I couldn't. So when I first made this card and I saw that it had a dark mark, I just decided to add a little bit more darkness to it, and you'll see how I did do that in a second, just using the black stamp pad. Right, so as you saw, I just cut out these, and you saw me flicking this because I find it's just easier and faster to get out all the little pieces of paper than instead of using the pokey tool. But with the sentiment, it is better because this is quite delicate. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to stamp the glasses onto the circle, and because I made these cards earlier, I already have a little spot marked out. Now before I stamp this, I'm just going to wipe off the bottom of the stamp, since that won't be stamping on the circle, it'll be on the paper, so I just wiped off this part. I'm going to use a cloth to burnish it as well. So for some reason, I don't know why, this stamp is struggling to stick on. I did clean it recently because it was doing the same thing. So if anybody has any tips on that, please feel free to put in the comments. Thankfully, the first stamp was crisp. So now that that's stamped, I can emboss the sentiment. Okay, so at the beginning of the video I forgot to mention that you'll also be using this metallic marker, and I got this from Lidl, and they don't carry the same thing all the time. Sometimes these pop back up, but you can use any metallic paint pen, and you want to shake it first and kind of press it down if it is struggling. And I'm just going to cover the sentiment with this marker to give it the gold feel. And you can also cut this out of gold paper, or you can also use gold embossing powder. But since I don't have any of those things, you can just find different alternatives. And sometimes using what you already have is best. Oh, and I also put this created by Nathifa Simon of Checiegirl Creations, and it has all the places you can follow me, and all of these are in the description below, the links to my social medias. So I put that as well, so that people know who made it. So yes, so I'm hoping that these go well in the market, and I do hope that you enjoyed the video. And if you make a card like this, please let me know. You can put it on Google Plus or Instagram, because I would love to see it. So thank you for watching, and please join me again for another arty video. Bye!